Capture video right now, and so I wanted to do a screenshot so that you can also see on video what it is that I'm capturing on as I'm referencing my notes and Samsung notes, and this is what I'm speaking of when I take screenshots. This is the entity that's group stalking in helicopter. LAPD is repeatedly flying over my apartment and amplifying helicopter activity repeatedly. So while they're flying at this distance, the entity is well before crossing path. This is how I'm able to catch it outside of my bedroom window. And again, when the entity is flying in the opposite direction, the entity is engaged in equally amplifying helicopter activity. It's entirely demonic. It's a harassment while the entity is violating quiet enjoyment in doing so. It's a public nuisance. These are all separate grounds of prosecuting the state that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring with the people. But what I'm speaking to is the entity is just engaging in what is the psychotic pacing. Just like you see the people of the state doing on foot, in vehicles, all they're doing is pacing around. So these are demons that are in helicopters, pacing back and forth over my apartment. And this is what I'm noting on Samsung notes. All they're doing is flying back and forth over my apartment repeatedly, over and over and over again, while they are both hostile demons, because I continue to get very, very powerful evidence against the state of California. And also because they are obsessively group stalking me. So it's both. I want to make sure that you understand the demented mind state of the demon possessed who serve Satan. Satan is inherently hostile to those who serve the Lord Jesus. This is an inherently persecution. But with regard to the criminal conduct, it's a sex offense. It's ongoing terrorism by the state of California. Dominic Choi and the Los Angeles Police Department are exposed as terrorists in the state of California, and that's going to be a removed agency. It's not a legitimate law enforcement agency. They are utilizing resources on a 24-hour basis to engage in stalking and surveillance and harassment and terrorism of an American citizen. That is not a law enforcement agency. They are doing so while that loud helicopter activity, that's referred to as amplification. The entity is sounding helicopter activity throughout my apartment while they are flying over the apartment building. And doing so simultaneously engaged in an ongoing incessant violation of quiet enjoyment. And the people of the state are directly engaged in that violation of quiet enjoyment. They're group stalking with that state that's using a helicopter to engage in relevant positioning and audible activity creation. Light activity is inherently underway by all of the entity that's surrounding me, pacing all around, including in traffic. And also light activity that's on. The light in my apartment is creating light activity while I'm moving, while I'm present, while I'm just living and being. While my television is on. This is a form of light activity creation. Impossible light activity remains inside of my apartment. So the elements of monitoring remain. I'm documenting what I'm speaking to on the video. The entity is repeatedly sounding helicopter while I'm in operation of my cell phone. And again, I'm watching television on the internet, watching YouTube, watching stream TV. I'm in operation of a communication device on the video of the internet. All of this is subject to surveillance. And the entity is repeatedly flying over the apartment and amplifying the incessant sound of helicopters. And this is what I'm referencing: 542, 610, 717, 730, 809, 820, and doing so repeatedly, pursuant to also the pattern of, if I engage in saying anything like Jesus is king, the demons are hostile to that. They'll fly over my apartment. Okay, they're monitoring everything that I say and do. But with regard to not only their condition, the fact that they are demon possessed and inherently hostile to Jesus Christ and to his children, but also because they're engaging in what is demonic activity. And so this is every move I make, everything that I'm doing on a communication device is subject to what is they engage in the elements of monitoring, in other words. So I want to be clear, this is exactly what Amazon Prime is participating in as I'm capturing video today. And the light source is over my apartment, and the entity is group stalking in helicopter as Amazon Prime is at the same time on the property. Engineered light is on my ceiling, remaining on my ceiling, and they are present crossing paths. The entity is amplifying helicopter activity, flying over my apartment, and the light source is right here over my apartment, and this is at what is 5:25 in the afternoon. You're looking at how they're concentrating their helicopter activity as to where I'm at, in the same way that the fake sun is in alignment to where I'm at. And that's exactly where it is. You can see the light source through the windshield. And what you see is Amazon Prime participating in the pattern of conduct. So I just want to speak to the people of the state are intentionally and knowingly and ceaselessly engaging in the pattern of conduct. He's going to federal prison. So this ongoing stalking by helicopter in concert with the people of the state indeed included the very well heavily documented people of the state, Amazon Prime. Not a legitimate business. Amazon Prime is actually engaged in state terrorism. They're a terrorist. They're engaged in monitoring American citizens, and also in this country, making a buck off of the American people while they are keeping you under surveillance. They're group stalking you. So you don't even know about it. And their demon possessed workforce are also hostile, as I have documented them engaging in the pattern of exacting revenge, acts of retaliation, which I'm going to prosecute them for. And this is the entity's pattern of conduct because I document, because I name those demons by company name. Then they will arrive pursuant to the pattern of engaging in acts of retaliation in the specific environment. The demons that are group stalking you know exactly when you're speaking of them, and those demons will arrive pursuant to the same documented pattern. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaging in that ongoing pattern, concentrating helicopter activity over my apartment, and it's amplified helicopter activity, which is inherently a violation of my quiet enjoyment. As the documentation reflects, I have been documenting this violation of quiet enjoyment, and the people of the state that provided the evidence of the fact, and which is an admission against Heather Teal and speaker companies and the whole corporate office, who are group stalkers and who are going to federal prison for multiple bases, now including a criminal act of obstruction of justice, seeking to limit my speech, silence my speech. When you are threatening my life, I mean, it is absurd. And they are literally engaging in the conduct while you're seeing this same entity that is engaging in group stalking in real time, like on an ongoing, continuous basis. And then the entity is telling you, don't reference me, your stalker, as demon possessed. Don't document me. That's what that threat is, while they are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. That's tantamount to what the employee warning notice is communicating, while that same entity is indeed engaged in terrorism. That's what LAPD represents, speaking through speaker companies. Speaker companies is going to federal prison since they want to speak on behalf of the state, group stalking with the state, where I remain subject to an ongoing incessant violation of quiet enjoyment because of criminal conduct that the people of the state are engaging in the specific environment where I live, in the specific environment where I work, where the people of the state that work for a third-party company, speaker companies, are group stalking in sync with that entity, LAPD, which is why they're going to federal prison. Okay, it's 8:29 p.m. and this is what I wanted to show regarding what it is that I am documenting. The entity is echoing amplified audible activity throughout my apartment. And so I'm hearing them well before they are arriving throughout my apartment, amplifying helicopter activity as then they fly over my apartment. So that's my ability. That's necessary in order for me again to capture them on video before they're even crossing path. They're disrupting quiet enjoyment by virtue of amplification, and it's equally disturbing when the demons are flying at a distance and they're engaging in the outward demonstration of demon possession while they're targeting me via amplification. This is the ability to hear them when they're flying in a circle like a demon, okay, at a great distance where it's impossible for me to hear, but yet it's violating my right to be free from harassment and the evidence of you stalking me when I'm in the workplace and when I'm in my apartment. All right. So I just want to be clear. This is entirely demonic. That's relevant for what is prosecution for terrorism by the state that utilizes helicopters. And in doing so, the people of the state are directly engaged in that criminal system. So I want to be clear. As you document the state group stalking you, you are documenting the people of the state who are group stalking you as well. This is, again, documentation of not only the third-party speaker companies, but the people of the state that are living at the property. Everybody, all 59 units, where the sun rises and sun sets over this property, because they're all engaged in 24-hour surveillance. They're all demon-possessed group stalking, which is nothing other than a crime scene where the people of the state are pacing all around the property, pacing all over the property, and the entity is flying all over, pacing above in the sky space over me in the specific environment. And it's a sex offense, and it's also terrorism and harassment as an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's currently 8:31 p.m. It is still, again, Monday, June 17, 2024. This is P.O.C.